Hello and welcome to the greatest debate in the universe. I'm your host, Danox, and with me is Robbie Bobby Ali.
You're like, that's not right.
No, that is our intro. It has always been our intro. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the GT vs. Super Podcast, brought to you by GigaBoots.com. I'm your host, Anime Danime, and with me is
Bob
from GigaBoots. Well, we just watched 3 episodes of GT and Super, and that's episodes 9, 10, and 11 of both series. I'm feeling some hypey energy coming off of these episodes. How about you, Bob? How are you feeling?
I feel like I'm not getting that, but you know.
Well, that's unfortunate because you're going to need a lot of energy for this next segment because as it turns out, Funimation and Toei has let us know that we can't use Dragon Power's theme for the Zeon segment. So, Bob, you're going to have to come up with an original theme that you're going to hum while I'm reading Zeon's comments.
It sounds like something I can't do.
Just make it your version of the Dragon Power theme. Okay? Just do a shitty cover.
I can't remember it. Oh, well, here goes
Kokoro,
whatever.
Thank you.
No.
Zeon says, the dub changes in these episodes don't really affect anything, mostly because these episodes don't really affect anything. Once the plot starts rolling, keeping the subtitles on will be more important. That may be true. Zeon also says, you fucking liar, I've never called him Birisu. So I'm just going to edit in right here the voice clip of him calling him Birisu, and it will speak for itself.
Birisu.
As Super goes on, you'll realize how little God Key actually matters. I look forward to that. I look forward to nothing mattering. Because that's already where I am, Zeon. Nothing matters. That's why Bob's doing what he's doing.
I can't go anymore.
No, this is done.
Okay, that's it.
Yeah, his last thing is that's all I've got. Not a whole lot happens in any of these episodes.
Like the whole series? Both of them?
I hope that's what he meant. I hope he's that aware, but then again, he said, I never said Birisu. And look where that landed him.
Watch, he goes and deletes every video where he says it.
You can't delete GigaBoots off of our channel. Speaking of which, if you see him near our computer on YouTube, on my Chrome, stop him, Bob. Don't let him delete GigaBoots because he's regretted some things he said. This is the same guy who insisted he never called himself Jail from HailZeal.com.
Fair.
So I don't know. I better start making up shit. Look, I need to do this 1 or 2 more times, bring up a thing he's done that he absolutely insists he didn't do, and then, prove it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I need to just start making shit up. Since he's gonna get scared.
I didn't do that, I hope.
I'm sweating. Bob.
What's up?
Last week's episode of GT vs. Super got 332 views by now.
But that was GT versus Sliders, though, right?
No.
Okay.
But this week's episode of GT vs. Sliders got 223 views. See what they did there? 332 on one, 223 on the other.
I'm sure they did it intentionally.
Yeah, some guy's like, I need to watch this 10 more times. From 10 distinct IPs. And then he started hacking some mainframes. And then he was like, good, I've downloaded all the blockchains. I have full control of the networks.
Okay, yeah, that checks out.
And
did he also download the internet?
Yes. Downloading the internet's actually more practical than downloading all the blockchains. I don't whatever. In any case, Bob, you ready to talk about Lord Lude from GT?
I don't think I'm not ready to not laugh about it.
So then you're ready to talk about it.
Okay.
Okay, Bob, if you recall, we were in a dumbass catfish world last episode.
Yeah.
On GT. In episode 7 and 8.
It was pretty cool.
Yeah, Kuwabar catfish kidnap people and blah, blah, blah. It doesn't matter. That's over. That's old news. But some spandex-wearing weirdo steals the Dragon Ball that they got from that planet. Not the other one, though. And takes off into space.
Mm-hmm.
And tries to escape. This episode, the main crew, Goku, Trunks, and Pan, and Gyuru, I guess, jump in the spaceship and pursue him.
Yeah, right? They actually did something. I was surprised.
They're like, we got to get that. Well, yeah, they got to go towards the plot events.
Right. Well,
I mean, it would be pretty.
I figured they would just let him get away and then use the Dragon Radar later. Because that's just how this series has been going.
That's fair. But I thought this was a pretty good start to this episode because they start chasing them and there's asteroids and shit and it's all crazy. And then they're like, oh man, like the other dudes whose names are Donpara, Sanpara, and Bonpara.
The Para brothers.
Because they are Para brothers. They realize that they're being chased and they're like, well, fuck this asshole, hit it into overdrive or warp drive. And then it goes, and it like has spectral images of itself going forward, and then it cuts to a wide view of it, and it's like blinking all over the place as it's like flying through space. And then, you know, Trunks' spaceship is just a normal spaceship, so it just goes in a direct line. You know, it flies through space. It doesn't like DBZ its way through space.
Right.
And they keep chasing them, and then the Parr brothers have a brilliant idea to duck into.
The Parr brothers don't have any ideas. The computer tells them to do all of this.
Okay, fine.
Which for some reason,
the computer suggests to hide in the asteroid from Star Wars Episode 5.
Yes.
And to get them trapped in there, where there are bloodthirsty worms. Their phrasing, not mine. So they go in there, right? I skipped my favorite line. So they're chasing, right? And once the Parr brothers go into warp speed, Pan is like, holy crap, we gotta catch up. And then Trunks is like, that's easier said than done. They're going faster than any of my engineers thought possible. And Pan's like, how much do you pay your engineers? And he's like, 10 figures. Why? And she's like, you pay them too much. You gotta start paying them like half of that. And I'm like, fucking what? He pays them $10 million? And then we're like, right, Zenny could be anything.
Right.
See, that's the... Zeon, I know you're listening. That's the thing you gotta keep track of. Fuck power levels.
How much would it be?
Keep track of the inflation of Zenny. That's what's important.
Yeah.
We
checked the subtitles. It wasn't even there at all.
Right. Yeah, no, the US dub team made that up.
Right.
But it was a really good line. I laughed.
It gave us some flavor.
It was absurd.
Yes.
It was like, damn, Pan.
And then Pan's like, I'm your boss.
Yeah, he's like, you're not the boss of me. And she goes, yes, I am. In just the most matter-of-fact tone. It was really hilarious, but it was more like laughing at a kid saying a dumb thing, which I guess is the way you write Pan.
I guess.
When you're writing her well, which most of the series is not even interested in. But let's not talk about that.
Pan angry. That's as much as they need to write. She's the Hulk, right?
Pan looks towards the camera and goes, that's my secret, Trunks. I'm always poorly written. And then she turns huge and green. So they duck into the asteroid, and then they're like, computer, what are the chances that they're gonna wreck in here? And then the computer's like, the corridors are so tight. They have a 50% chance of survival. And then the Parr brothers are like, hey, well, how about when you take the worms into account? And then the computer's like, less than 1%. And one of the Parrs is like, that's a percent I can live with. And then they fly out, and they leave Trunks, Pan, and Goku in there, who do not check their Dragon Radar at any point.
Yeah,
otherwise they would realize
not for like 20 minutes
behind.
later.
20 minutes? Okay. We'll let you know
20 minutes our time. Well, who knows what show time?
So they start taking off for planet Lude. Okay?
Yes.
The Parr brothers.
The way they live, I guess.
Because our main cast is stuck in the asteroid, didn't see them leave, and it's a maze-like series of tunnels that have bloodthirsty worms. So the Parr brothers take off for planet Lude, where there's some sort of mucus castle. It's really gross and weird. And then the denizens of this planet seems to be people in red weirdo masks, like pretty unlike the Parr brothers, who are hailing this stage. And on the stage is like some sort of religious figure, a chancellor. Let me put. I know I wrote this down.
Yeah, he's I think,
Munchin.
Mushi something.
Moshi.
Yeah, it's Moshi.
Fuck it. His name is Chancellor Moshi. I swear to God, I wrote it down. Now I can't.
Oh, he's a cardinal.
He's a cardinal. Yeah.
Cardinal. I wrote that down.
You wrote down that he was a cardinal, but you didn't write his name?
Look, his name was really dumb.
Yeah, that's why it was important to write down, because now we look like jackasses, like we're not even paying attention or something. Which, God, I wish I wasn't paying attention.
Right.
Yeah, weirdly enough, I'm not seeing. Let's check page 3. There's got to be Cardinal Muchi.
Moochie. I was almost right.
Moochie. Well, yeah, but if his name was Moshi, that would be fucking hilarious. Because he'd be like, Moshi. He would have a telephone.
Yeah.
That'd be good. But no, this isn't that at all. But yeah, this dude, Cardinal Moochie, is on stage with a whip as all these people are hailing the statue behind him, which is Lord Lude. And someone comes onto the stage or up to the stage, and he's like, "Did you get the Dragon Ball like we asked for?" And they're like, "Oh, it's a huge galaxy. I couldn't find the Dragon Ball." And then he's like, "This is what you get." And then he whips them, and they turn into a tiny doll version of themselves. He tosses the doll into a giant cauldron or a pot behind himself, and the statue starts glowing with weird green energy, and then you hear like a watery sound, and then the giant vial to the right of the statue starts filling with more blue liquid.
Right.
And he's like, "Your life essence will be poured into Lord Lude when he is resurrected." By the way, if you think I'm making this voice up, that voice was accurate for the Para brothers. It's not as accurate for Cardinal Moochie, but like I think it's really important to stress that the Para brothers are weirdly Brooklyn.
Yeah, no, it's important. It's a character trait for them.
An important characteristic when describing them.
You know, when that guy was saying it's a big galaxy, I was kind of like, yeah, no, that's reasonable.
Yeah,
there's like 8 of those things in the entire universe, guys. 7. Oh
my God. I'm gonna shut this down. We're gonna restart the whole recording.
I don't know.
But there aren't 8 Chaos Emeralds.
Oh no!
There are 17.
I do have lost track somewhere.
Well, keep in mind
Knuckles has his work cut out for him.
The Shadow Chaos Emeralds. There are 8 Chaos Emeralds.
Okay.
Just to be clear.
Okay. You have me worried there.
Where am I? Who knows?
Because Chaos Emeralds are just Dragon Balls. I'm surprised there aren't 7.
They're completely different.
They just turn they're Sonic Super Saiyan.
Yeah. No, Supersonic.
Supersonic.
Why are you saying it so weird? 1 second. Okay. One. Bob, remember to edit this out of the podcast, okay?
Yeah, sure. I'll do that.
How many Chaos Emeralds are there? There's 6. I was like, 8 seems too many, but I thought it was even.
We're doing good this week.
6 Chaos Emeralds. Look, man, you know how many times I've collected all the Chaos Emeralds?
How many times?
Once. And that was kind of cheesing it because on Sonic 2, you can keep hitting reset.
Oh.
And it will keep your amount of Chaos Emeralds consistent.
Cool.
So you could just keep running the first stage over and over. Trying. Yeah. Yeah, no, it was all right, you know?
Yeah, it was a way to get the Supersonic.
Yeah.
I mean, you did it.
Man, that thing is so much easier to do that mini game in Sonic 2 with the OSSC and a real-ass Genesis than on that fucking Sonic's Ultimate Genesis collection. That thing has so much input latency. It's a nightmare.
Yeah, no. It's
when you start counting your input latency, not in milliseconds, but in frames, you have a problem.
I wonder if the new collector's gonna be any better. It probably won't be.
It'll probably be a little better, but it'll probably still be fucking miserable for us because we're used to, you know, decent input latency. I can't believe these assholes didn't watch GT versus Sliders. I don't.
What are you even watching this for?
God. I'm upset. But yeah, Lude seems to have known about the other Dragon Ball that the cast had because Cardinal Moochie says. Lord Lude is pissed because you guys didn't grab because the Para brothers show up. Right?
Yes, the Para.
And he's like, you guys didn't grab the other Dragon Ball that those people had.
Yeah, like he knows way too many specifics about all this.
But I feel like eventually we're gonna have that revealed to us and explained.
Hopefully, he's got like a camera in there in their ship. Like that's the only way that he knows this many details.
King Kai's been ratting about.
King Kai doesn't exist in this universe.
No, King Kai yelled at them in the first 2 episodes. Remember?
He did.
He explained the Shadow Dragon
Ball.
And
then he's been silent since.
Well, yeah, he doesn't care.
He's just like, whatever, guys. Yeah, good job. Got Giant over there. Giant stuff on this planet.
Good.
That's cool.
I like that.
I'm looking ahead at my notes here. Yeah, it's got some good stuff going.
Yeah. This is great. Yeah, somehow they just didn't check their dragon radar the whole time that this is happening.
Yeah, because they get all the way back to Planet Lude.
Like, second half of the episode, if not the last 2/3.
Yeah.
And then, as I said, Cardinal Moochie Moochie yells at them on behalf of, Lord Lude, who's totally that statue that's right behind him.
Yes, definitely.
And he's like, you guys need to go back and get that other fucking Dragon Ball, or else I'm gonna turn you into dolls. And they're like, oh boy, oh jeez, oh yeah. And then they get in their ship, and then they head back to the asteroid. And they get back, and the main cast is being attacked by the worms. Because they parked their ship and decided to physically fight the worms, right?
Right.
And then the three main characters shoot lasers at one of the worms, and it just bounces off. It's like, doing, and it bounces off, and then it's like, oh shit, this is gonna get crazy. And the para bosses are like, the para bros are just like, let's sneak onto their ship and get their Dragon Ball. And then that's the end of that episode.
Yeah.
Let me describe the beginning of the next episode. So they park the ship. And then they start fighting the worms, and then the Para brothers arrive, and then the Para brothers go onto their ship, and it's like, thanks, I didn't need those 3 fucking minutes of my life. Just fuck me right out of them, GT. Fuck me right out of them. If I wanted this shit, I would go to a fucking Taco Bell drive-thru at 11:20 at night, where I know I'm spending the next 40 minutes waiting for my food. That's how it goes every time nowadays. It is terrible.
Yeah, being the only place that's open at that time of night.
Yeah, they're getting swamped.
Yeah.
And then they only staff like 3 people, if even.
They don't learn.
No.
Never.
God, no. Look, it would take money to have more. Both Bob and I took notes. Bob, did I miss anything?
No, that was everything. That was,
I took pretty thorough notes. I really need to just use a Bluetooth keyboard and some other way to look at my notes, other than the highly latent iOS app for Google Drive, Google Docs, because when you're typing, you don't want to wait a while to see.
No,
but my computer has built-in Bluetooth. I feel like that's a good solution. I can sit over here while typing.
Yeah,
and if there's a typo, whatever, I'll get the point. But we bought notebooks, so the notebook is the method we're using for now. Bob and I have like our own amazing notebooks. Maybe we'll when this series is fucking done, we'll just send these to someone. We'll be like, hey guys, we're gonna send this to a lucky viewer who's gonna get the most unbelievably unreadable garbage ever.
Right?
2 notebooks full of it.
Man, but I don't want to use this for the super chats too, so I don't know.
So we need another notebook.
Oh man, do we need another notebook?
I think so.
Okay.
We should use Legal Pad for that one.
Yeah. I guess.
I like Legal Pad. Bob's like, but there's no spiral in a Legal Pad. But we're getting off topic. Let's talk about episode 10 of GT.
Okay.
So they're getting their asses whipped by the worms. The worms arch their back, and Goku goes flying into the wall. And it's like, what
they're punching the worms in the head. They're shooting them with lasers bounce off.
Nothing's affecting.
Yeah, nothing even affects them.
Nothing at all.
They're not going Super Saiyan. God, no. They're not going to do that. Why would they go Super Saiyan, Dan?
And then
why would they just solve this?
And then the Power Brothers are like, we can't find that fucking Dragon Ball. Ah! And they kick a thing, and then another one's like, don't kick that thing. It looks expensive. And I'm like, not really. It looked like a gas canister. And then they're like, we really need to find that, or Lord Lude's gonna be upset. And then it cuts to Planet Lude, where Lude's statue's eye lights up and turns. Oh, right. I guess I should introduce it. Some troop goes up to the Cardinal and says, and keep in mind, this is while a room full of people keep going, I should have written down the prayer they say, because it's the weirdest fucking thing.
It's like nonsense.
They're like, Udo Budo, Lord of Rudo. Because they say Lord Rude, which is so weird that the prayer in the US version says Rudo, even though it's Lude. It's weird. It's a really weird prayer that's mostly garbage words. Wigwam wom.
I thought they got Lude somewhere in that.
No, they say Rude.
I thought
Rude.
Oh well.
No, I was paying attention. I was like, why'd they leave Rude? That doesn't. But whatever. Look, his real name is Raito.
I guess.
But they're like, Lord Lude, we found these irregulars in this one zone.
They call them
they call them Mavericks, basically. And they're like, we found them in this one zone. And then he's like, oh yeah? and then the statue's eyes light up, and it turns them into dolls. The thing that the whip did before, but now the statue's eyes also do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then they're turned into dolls, and they dump all the. Hey, these were episodes apart. One episode apart. They dump all the dolls in the cauldron. It does the same thing as before.
Really hammer home.
And then
it's eating people.
And then the Power Bros realize if it's not on the ship, it's probably on the Earthlings, right?
Yeah, because
so they go outside, and then they're like, "Come on, Earthlings, you can do it!" And then me and Bob are like, "How the fuck do these people know they're from fucking Earth? The fuck is going on?" So they start. Goku starts whipping the shit out of the worms, because what he does is he flies underground to where their tail begins, lifts them out into the open, and then whips them like you would crack a whip. But he cracks the worm and slams its head into stuff, and that's how they start turning the tables. They all start doing that.
Yeah,
and it's like, oh man, they're really whipping them. And then the other two fly around in a pattern where they tie themselves up, and it's real goofy. The worms get tied up, and then they start punching them. The punches work now.
Yeah,
and it's like, what?
Why wouldn't they work? Okay.
It's very confusing. And it basically becomes some like Looney Tunes shit. But then that finally stops. And then the Power Brothers are like clapping and stuff. And they're like, hey, we know you assholes. You took our Dragon Ball. And they're like, yeah, that's a good point. But we came back for the other Dragon Ball. Give us that one. And they're like, maybe instead of us giving you that one, you should give us our old one. And then they stare at each other.
Yeah,
and I need to stress this. They cut to zoom-ins on every single person who stares. All three Power Brothers, all three members of the main cast, just staring.
I wrote down that when the Power Brothers first introduced themselves, they also did sort of Ginyu poses, but they were like really lame versions. Like,
I didn't get the Ginyu vibe. It wasn't quite fanciful enough for that. It looked more like dumbasses who work out and trying to look cool.
I guess.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It wasn't like no one shoved their head through their thighs and no one YMCA'd. You know, the arms.
That's why they're Ginyu poses, but lame.
You're saying they're half-assing it?
Yeah, like they're just not even not able to do it.
Given their gimmick, which comes up in a second, I think it worked perfectly. What happens is they say, okay, we gave you a chance, and then they all take their armor off. They fly to a different spot in there. They take their armor off, and then it turns out two of the sets of armors had lights on them, and the third one was a boombox. And this was after they like beatboxed with their mouths with a bit where they like, and the other one's like, and the third one's just rapping.
Right.
And then they throw down their armors and it starts playing some music. And it's like some early 90s rap hip hop sound coming from Japan. And it's pretty great to me.
We should have listened to this in the Japanese soundtrack because sorry, the English soundtrack.
Oh yeah, we didn't
hear what they went with.
I would think it would be really hard to make a completely different song that worked there, but that wouldn't stop them. I don't think. But whatever. So they start playing some music and doing a dance to the music, and the dance they're rapping and they're saying some stuff. They're like throwing out some really cheesy sick burns, right?
Right.
And some cribbing straight from 90s rap.
Mostly that.
In late 80s rap. And then they say instructions like, you know, move your arms like blah, blah, blah. And then they say the sentence, you're a slave to the rhythm. And they keep doing this. And our main cast is just staring at them like, wow, they're dumb shits. And then Giru starts dancing. They're like, Giru, what the fuck is your deal? And then Pan's like, yeah, Giru. And then she starts moving her arm weirdly. She's like, oh no. And then they all become slaves to the rhythm and they have to dance.
Yes.
This is minutes.
Yeah, no, they made some fancy dancing animations. They're going to use them.
I was laughing so hard at like the main para, the super zoomed in shot they gave him of like tilting his head and looking smug while also clearly dancing and saying some words. They used that animation 3 times. They cut to that
only
super
3?
zoomed in shot.
I felt like it was like 10 times I saw that.
It was amazing. I loved it. It was so shitty and cheesy. Their power is to enslave them with rhythm. And then after they're thoroughly enslaved, which once again takes minutes.
Yes, because the little cast just stands there staring at them.
Yeah.
For way too long.
And then when Pan starts dancing, they're like, Pan, what are you doing? And then Trunks starts dancing, and then he's like, oh no. And keep in mind they go very into detail about each step of them losing their free will to the rhythm. And that's why it takes minutes. And then after they're thoroughly entranced, the Parr brothers just come up, well, the main one, and he just starts decking them while giving them sick burns rap style.
Yeah. And they're like, why is he just taking the Dragon Ball? Like, why is he trying to punch these guys? He just saw them like showing them or showing giant slugs or giant space worms. All over this cave.
Yeah.
And being clearly insanely powerful. Why is he even bother trying to punch them?
Well, they started getting really worn out by the dance, remember? They're like, oh, my arms are exhausted. Oh, like, this is so intense. Well, they started fast-forward dancing, and then they had to fast-forward dance, and it was too much. It was too much for Goku to deal with.
Damn, these guys are guys who freaking do laps around the world to train.
Goku, one, those worms were tougher than Frieza is the thing I have to deal with. Two, thank God those worms never left that asteroid. That would have been really problematic.
Bad stuff.
Two, good thing Goku never went Super Saiyan and immediately solved the worm problem.
Right, or anything.
Or any problem.
Yeah.
Three, Goku's arch nemesis, the prom. But yeah, in any case, after they keep making them dance and punching them and dancing and fast forward, the worms come back and they're behind the main cast and they're slinking up on everyone. And it's like, oh no. And the main cast freaks out about the worms coming up behind them. And then the worms go past the main cast to get to the Parr brothers. And then they start attacking the Parr brothers and they're like, oh no. So the Parr brothers, getting scared and sort of being attacked, stop dancing. And then our main cast stops getting entranced by the dance. And then they just walk over and hit the Parr brothers. And we never address where the worms went.
Right.
When the worms are the size of like a continent. They're fucking enormous. They're the size of like, if you had an 18-wheeler that was the height of a skyscraper. They're huge.
Yeah, they're huge.
And they just gone.
I thought maybe they were supposed to be dancing. Like as they were coming
I thought they were too. I thought they were coming up like dancing. Like,
right?
hey,
I thought
buddy.
That was the gag. And
hey, what's up?
It just wasn't.
No.
It was nothing. It was just a way to end it because they couldn't figure out what to do next.
Yeah. I actually, you know, I rather enjoyed this episode. The dancing thing was hilarious, and that's the level I want GT to be forever. I want every alien to have the dumbest reason to be able to beat up the main cast. And let me tell you, if your territory powers a la Yu Yu Hakusho are really shitty 80s/90s rap cribbed limes and beatboxing, perfect. Absolutely. That's way better than...
This Ferengi's really tough.
Yeah, which he wasn't even.
He's got spikes that
turn into swords. And then he tosses them.
Yeah, it's cool, right?
Also no.
Because swords affect our cast, right?
The series seems to think that because swords show up a lot.
Right, but every time they did, like in regular Z, yeah, they didn't. They didn't do anything.
But this episode ends with the ship. Basically, what happens is they beat up and tie up the Parra brothers.
Yeah.
Pan and Guru go onto the Parra ship, and they're trying to figure out, like, okay, where's their home planet? Where's
their Dragon Ball?
Where's the Dragon Ball? You know, they're trying to figure out that. And then Pan goes, Guru, what does that desk say? And then Guru says, oh, the desk the desk console says set a autopilot course set for planet Lude. And then once he says that, the door shuts and then the ship takes off and it starts heading for planet Lude, and that's how the episode ends. Overall, that may have been my favorite episode of GT. Not because of the worms, obviously. That was weird and mildly frustrating. But the beatboxing and the rest of idiocy there is perfect. I want every reason that an enemy can beat the main cast to be as stupid as that.
You left out the most important part of the ending, I feel.
Okay.
Where the narrator then blames Pan for launching them into space.
That's true.
It was like, what?
It's like, Pan has activated the autopilot and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no. No. Well, actually, it didn't even say that. It was more direct than that. It was like, Pan launched the ship back towards planet Lude. And it's like, no, she... What?
Right? It's like, series. Pan does a lot of dumb things here, but
you're inventing shit for her to have done. Something the matter, Bob?
Everything.
Everything's the matter.
Everything is wrong.
I think
it was episode 11.
I think it was a great episode.
I mean,
I don't know about episode 9, but episode 10 was.
Yeah, no,
good.
Episode 9 was miserable. But 10 at least. It had the Para brothers with the guy who had the boombox armor.
Boombox armor is pretty good,
right?
That's the tier I want GT to be.
So Planet Loot, all of that stuff is awful.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you think about it, episode 9 is also like they use Planet Loot as an excuse to run in circles,
right?
Like if you combine 9 and 10 and 11,
like they drive back
Planet Loot is just we're running laps.
Yeah,
it's Mario Kart. But yeah, episode 11 begins, and Pan is immediately threatening Giru.
Yeah, no, it's just like Pan's just angry. Like I think I wrote that note like 3 times for this episode. Like that was all that she did.
Yeah, yeah, it was tantric.
Yeah,
Pan is tantric is a good word. I think. She's just flying off the handle like Giru. She's like, Giru, you need to learn to work together and you need to stop fucking everything up. And it's like, Jesus Christ. She's like, I can't believe you launched this ship back towards Planet Loot. I hate you. You're the worst.
Yep.
Pan's terrible.
Yeah, right. Like
that's her secret though.
I much prefer just being like, oh, Pan's the coolest design. I don't know anything about the character. But
so we're ruining that for you.
Yeah, no, we're ruining it. Like her showing up in fighting games is no longer cool.
Well, you were making this point. We were talking about how terrible of a character she is, and that I was like, yeah, it's even sadder because her design was made in like Z. So we were making jokes about her being like she was a pure character just introduced in Z and like. But then when they went to write GT, they're like, what do we know about her? And then they paid attention to her as a 6-year-old.
Uh-huh.
And they're like, oh, she's really upset easily and tantric. And it's like, yeah, but she's a child. Well, then as a 13-year-old, she's still that. And it's like, Jesus Christ, GT writers. But whatever. It's a sad thing that Pan ended up like this is all I'm saying. But yeah, Pan's like, Giru, you better figure out a way right now to get us back to that asteroid. And Giru's like, oh, okay, hit that button. And she's like, okay. She hits the button and a trap door opens and she falls down. And then he's like, wrong button.
Wah, wah.
Wah, wah. And then we cut to Pan. Well, actually, it cuts to the Para brothers and how they're now tied up and the main cast is yelling at them. Actually, that comes in a little bit later. But in any case, Pan lands on Planet Loot with Giru.
Uh-huh.
And there's a fleet of Para ships. Like just rows and rows of Para style ships, you know?
Yeah, they're weird mushroom ship.
Yeah, it's like across a mushroom cap with the Starship Enterprise.
Fair.
Yeah, it's got like a handle, a hook that comes out of the bottom. And then it sort of enterprises as it juts parallel to the upper part, you know?
Yeah,
it's kind of like one of the engine cores, you know, one of the engine sides. Look, I'm not Mike Staclosa.
Okay,
I don't know the name of that part of the Starship Enterprise, and I would like to think that's a plus. But you know, I know how much people want every internet video to turn into Mike Staclosa talking about Star Trek, because I do.
Right.
I enjoy that. I enjoy Jay Bowman's face every single time it happens. But that's me. And then they walk up on the area, the weird mucusy castle.
Mm-hmm.
And Pan goes, man, this place is ugly for a shrine. And we're like, why does she know it's a shrine? What is up with any of this? And once again, GT's #1 problem, mixing player knowledge with character knowledge. It's just terrible.
How do you write it like that? Like, I'm so consistently bad.
So, okay, this is a thought I had a couple of times while watching these 2 episodes. One time I ran a D&D campaign.
Uh-huh.
And I had some ideas, but man, did I procrastinate on exactly writing out what the course of events were.
Right.
And when players started doing shit that I didn't expect, I had to really do some dumb, redundant stuff. to get things to go remotely the way I wanted, and then they tried to save a character, and I literally had a giant iron cross pierce him through the chest. It was launched like a fucking what do you call it? It was launched from a ballast.
Okay.
At the top of a building. And that's kind of how I felt watching this. I was like, this is a D&D campaign that just did not come together right in time. Because it really does seem like that. It's almost like you can hear the writing staff as half of them yell ideas for ways the main characters could solve things, and then the other guy's like, but they can't. The worms are so powerful that their hits do nothing.
You don't think that's gonna come back to bite us, John?
Nope. Frieza was fucking scared of these worms. So was Cell. Don't ask how.
Cell wasn't perfect enough, obviously.
He's nowhere near as perfect as these bloodthirsty worms.
Yeah, after they beat him up, they're still fine, I guess.
I guess. Yeah, I don't know. That ending bit really was jarring. It didn't make sense because the worms just disappeared. But yeah, in any case, Giru keeps freaking out about the shrine. He's like, danger, 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 danger. He just yells that like 30 times.
Yes.
He's like, baby, 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 baby. But danger. The word danger instead of baby.
The Pan's super angry about him saying danger.
Pan screams at him and is like, stop being pussy. And then flies in there and yeah, she works her way into getting deeper into the shrine, and she goes through a sort of secret passage where there are like tons of broken lewd statues with cobwebs all over them. It's like, whoa, this is all a bunch of
lewd.
It's so lewd in here. It's like Tumblr,
right?
And no, it's more like Pixiv.
There we go.
There we go. And they have like broken arms and broken cauldrons and all sorts of other problems with them, and there are cobwebs on them. And it's like, oh, this is a storage room for all the broken statues, because that statue is clearly not a body of any sort. It's clearly just some sort of replica thing, just like all of these are. Oh man, is this a Willy Wonka situation? We just don't know. But you know, Pan, let's see. We cut to the commercial break right as she comes into the main area. They're like, hey, what are you doing? And she's like, give me back my Dragon Ball. And they're like, no, what the fuck? Get out of here. I'm Chancellor Who's-a-fuck. I'm Count Dooku, and
he's a cardinal.
This is my four lightsabers. Because that's what Count Dooku had.
Yep.
You know, people are never going to catch on to when I'm saying things wrong just to fuck with them.
Uh-huh.
I'm always going to get a comment from that, and I enjoy this race. I enjoy this game that I play with our audience. But yeah, the Cardinal's just like, hey, fucking get her. And then two guys with swords go up, and she's like... And then we cut to commercial break, and I'm like, Bob, they just cut to commercial break to avoid having to write how she got kidnapped.
Right? I was sure they were going to do that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But then it didn't happen.
Right? But we do cut away to Goku and friends.
We do. And the Para are tied up, and actually, no, they're now on Planet Lude.
Yes.
Goku and the Para brothers landed on Planet Lude. Yep. So earlier, I did remember correctly when the Para were tied up and they were screaming at the Para brothers like, where is that ship headed? Where are you come from? And they're like, we're not going to tell. We're not going to tell. And they start trying to do like a musical number while tied up, and it's clearly not working. Mm-hmm. But it was the dumbest thing ever, because the first Para brother's like, 1, 2, 1, 2, we won't tell you. And then the second one goes, 1, 2, 1, 2, we won't tell you. And the third one goes, 1, 2, 1, 2. We won't tell you that we're from the planet Lude, and we work for Lord Lude, and that is where that ship is headed. But I wish the delivery was exactly how I just did it. I wish it was like a strong bad thing.
Right. Like, oh man.
But then they're like, ha! And then the Para brothers like, oh no! So cutting back to what we were actually talking about timeline-wise, instead of that detail I forgot, they land on planet Lude right after the commercial break. And Goku and Trunks get out, and Goku has the Para brothers on a rope as they're tied together, and he's trying to pull them out of the ship, but they're biting the side of the ship, trying to just hold on to it so they don't have to go see Lord Lude, who will definitely turn them into a doll.
Yeah.
Scary.
Scary stuff.
And then Trunks hits a button that electrifies the whole ship.
Right? I guess they have that button.
That's a thing.
I guess.
Okay, Bob, my notes get rough from here.
Yeah.
So if I forget anything... because I started getting bored. But in any case, what happens then is Pan's in there with the Cardinal. And she's like, I'm going to take this Dragon Ball and leave. And he's like, no, you're not. Rah. And then the statue zaps her and she turns into a doll. And she's like, we get an internal voice for the doll.
She fights a little bit, but yeah.
Yeah, there's some fighting. She wasn't actually kidnapped.
Yeah.
But there's a little bit of fighting. And then the Lord Lude statue shoots her with the eye laser and turns her into a doll. And then we zoom in on the doll and she's like thinking internally. So there's an echo.
Uh-huh.
That's classic.
Yeah.
That's how you know she's thinking. Everyone thinks with an echo, right?
Yeah, that's how it works.
That's how I think when I'm drunk. I'm like, oh, God, it's too loud.
Have you not seen the Octagon? Of course.
Thank you, Bob. Finally, someone referenced something more obscure than sliders, so I'm not the hipster asshole.
Look, the Octagon starring Chuck Norris is a very famous film. Very famous.
It features Sakura, who can train ninja.
Yes. You know it.
Bob, I was afraid our fans wouldn't really be into Jackie Chan, but then a lot of them ended up being. There is a 0% chance that people have seen The Octagon.
Everybody loves Chuck Norris.
No.
Whatever. That movie's not even good, but you should go watch it.
Just like we're watching GT and Super for you. Right. Look, we're doing you a solid. Do us a solid and watch The Octagon.
The Octagon's better than this. Either of these shows.
I mean, I don't know. The Octagon.
It was pretty rough.
It had a lot of the same problems that GT's having. Of like, the plot's literally running in circles. But that's a lot of movies from back then.
Yeah.
Like a lot of martial arts movies are too, where it's a lot of stalling. Because you have like one major fight scene that you planned. And
right.
The rest of the plot is just the good guys, the bad guys doing really petty shit to each other. Oh my lord, we need to write that. We need to write that martial arts movie. That's just transparently that. They shit on our doorstep. Good guys are like, take that, evil crime lord. We shit on your doorstep. Then they drive off.
Yep.
That'd be good. I'd watch that. I don't know what you call that though. We need to come up with a clever name for that. That makes it transparent that movie is that. But the music in this episode was really fucking weird. It was different from like every other episode. They kept busting out new themes and they were all really weird and different. And I was like, what is with this music? I mean, we both even said something. Yeah, like, I didn't say anything at first. I was like, maybe it's just me. And then you were like, the music's pretty weird. And I'm like, it is really weird. So I wrote a note down. It says, music is really weird.
Yeah, I'm like, is this just the music for this new arc? Or
yeah, it's almost like they finally got time to make music for this series.
I don't know.
Yeah. But it's really weird to have it happen 11 episodes in. Bob, a whole anime would have been done by now in contemporary anime seasons.
Basically. Yeah. I mean, they have like one episode left after this.
That's crazy because jack shit has happened in this.
I know. God, ugh.
Oh, you're starting to think of how many animes you could be watching?
Right, it hurts. It's like there's so many actually good animes to watch.
Yep.
Currently going even.
Most of them
way better than this.
Most of them, arguably all of them, don't start with the words dragon and ball.
Right?
But here we are. So what happens after this is Goku and Trunks bust in through the ceiling with the Power Brothers, and then Cardinal Dooku is all upset that the Power Brothers fucked up.
Uh-huh.
He's like, what the hell? What have you fuckers done? And then they're like, hey, we kind of brought you the Dragon Ball because they have the Dragon Ball. They're here. And then he's like, you would expect me to congratulate you? And then he gets the Lord Lude statue to zap them and turn the three of them into dolls. And then Goku and Trunks are like, wait a second, weren't they on your side? And he's like, yeah, what do you expect me to do? Reward them?
Yeah, and like,
and then he throws them in the pot.
Right. So they just killed the Power Brothers.
Yeah.
Just like that.
It's terrible.
Right?
Really terrible. They were my favorite part of GT.
They didn't even care.
They're gone.
They just threw them in there.
They were like me running a D&D campaign.
Right? It's just like, Goku and Trunks didn't stop him. They were just watching, like usual. Bystanders.
It's terrible.
But yeah, Pan got turned into a doll, but they busted in the ceiling before she got shown in the pot.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, so she's not...
No, I didn't say she got thrown in the pot. She just got turned into a doll.
I just want to make it clear for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For any presumptuous assholes out there.
Right.
Stop assuming. You know what that does? It makes an ass out of ooh and meh. Bob, you have notes. Why don't you read your notes?
Well, then
I could brutally summarize the rest of it, but I'm going to be cutting out a lot of action because a lot of it's stupid and pointless.
Right, no, they fight a little bit.
Okay, Count Dooku whips at them, they're like, ah! And then he's like, ah! They shoot the lasers, they dodge the lasers. And then he's like, fuck you guys. How about this? And then he summons a giant tiger lion that's named Leon.
This is important.
I wish I was making this up.
This is all important.
I really wish I was making this up. And then Goku's like, ha! And shoots a laser and blows up Leon. Leon, not as cool as space worms.
Like, he shoots the laser at the wall behind Leon.
Oh, and crushes Leon with rocks.
And apparently it was a robot.
And then, when it explodes, a little gear rolls up to Colonel Dooku.
Mm-hmm.
And then, he's like, And then they shoot a laser at Colonel Dooku. No, the explosion actually engulfs See, that's the weird part. The rocks crush Leon.
Right.
Which makes gears explode out, right?
Yes.
And one rolls up in a very elaborate animation. Like, the animation for that gear is better than any animation in Super, which is fucking weird.
That's doesn't make any sense. Yeah,
really goddamn weird. But they made this great animation for this gear rolling up towards him, and then it falls on its side. And then Dooku looks at it, and he's like, meh. And then the Leon explodes after that.
Right.
And then Count Dooku flies away with the explosion, like engulfing him, and he's like, blah! And then he dies. And our main cast is just sort of like, oh, that was okay. I guess we did that.
Right.
And then the whip that Dooku fine. Muchi has been using this whole time is like, you defeated Cardinal Muchi, but I'm actually the real guy. They're like, what? And he's like, let me show you my true form. And the handle of the whip starts flying towards the perspective, but when it lifts up, instead of being a handle of a whip, it's like a weird fucking Toriyama alien.
Yeah, no, it looks like some weird mix of
Cell and Frieza, but yellow.
Yeah, Cell and Cooler.
And then its arms are whips. Its arms are long tentacles that have a whip-like texturing on them, but it's still yellow golden.
Right, and then comes my favorite line.
What's
probably the whole series.
Mm-hmm.
Trunks is like, I guess we should have seen this coming.
Yeah! Me and Bob literally seconds before that go, what? Out loud. And then Trunks goes, I guess we should have seen this coming. And me and Bob go, what? No! And laughed really hard. Because, one, I think that's the U.S. dub team making a joke on how stupid the show is.
Right.
I just...
Oh,
the whip self-identifies as Muchi. Because they defeated Cardinal Muchi. He's like, you have defeated Cardinal Muchi, but I am Muchi.
Right. He was just part of my body.
He was just like a part of me.
Right.
Yep. So the 3 episodes end, right, with a DBZ villain. Like, straight up schlock, I'm from a shitty movie, DBZ villain.
That's definitely a DBZ movie villain.
Yeah.
Oh, and somebody picks up the Pandol. Like,
Giru.
No, Giru does.
Oh,
Giru
right.
Walks over her.
Right, that's the weird part. Okay, so Giru walks over her, realizes it's her, and then as he's about to, like, pick her up or something, or he's holding her, he gets kicked away by this mysterious thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then she gets picked up by this mysterious thing. Which, judging by the coloring in the plates, I thought it was Muchi, but it's not.
It's not, because
it's the same color as Muchi, though.
We see another shot where he's, like, holding it. It has, like, a human hand. Like, a more humanoid.
Yeah, no, he clearly got, yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's Supreme Kai.
It's a mess. Oh, yeah. No, it's Kai Grande.
We're not watching Bleach, Dan. It can't be Kai Grande. He's in that.
No. Oh, that's not a thing. You're lying. You're lying, damn it. Bleach can't be that stupid. Now, Bob, I had... How many pages is this? I had 3 pages for GT notes.
Okay.
I have a page for Super.
I had something. I had a page and a half for GT, and I have a page for Super. So yeah.
Well, yeah, you have page and a half. Yep. Holy fuck, Super doesn't do shit.
No.
Which is yet again why I'm like, Power Brothers. That's all right. Yeah, there's some good ideas there. They dance to defeat our main characters through some territory-like abilities a la Yu Yu Hakusho. And I appreciate that Yu Yu had that idea because it was like, man, Yusuke and Kuwabara, they're fucking strong as shit. We better come up with some fucking crazy rule set.
Right.
It makes it make sense that anyone could beat them. And then their solution was literally to have the enemies instill some rule set so they can beat them. And I thought that was clever in Yu Yu, and it was Juggalo clever in GT when it was beatboxing. So I appreciated that. But we've thrown the Power brothers out.
They're gone now. The series is probably dead.
It was like a down note. It really was. I was really disappointed. But then the Whip became a DBZ movie villain, and I was like, okay, you got me.
Get
back.
that trucker android in here too.
Yeah, fucking get his ass in here. Juro could have made one in space. We don't know.
He gets around. We've seen
maybe
where this goes.
Maybe he put the moon back up in the sky.
Probably. That guy's got all sorts of good stuff.
Maybe they accidentally wished for Jiro to travel space. You know? I don't know. Anything is possible in the world of Dragon Ball Z.
Right.
But I'm a little interested in what's going to happen in GT. Just because weird DBZ movie villain is interesting.
At least it's something.
And I feel like this is doing a better job of interesting me in the next episode than GT was doing. I feel like the last set of 3 were a real down note.
Yeah, no, that we really didn't have anything to go on except that guy's weird and he took the Dragon Ball.
And I lost my mind because that was such a hard shift.
You know, the Power Brothers, the whole rest of the time we saw them, they didn't transform once. That's almost like that wasn't their power. Like, they just wrote that in the first episode, and then they had a totally different villain that they wanted to do with this whole dancing thing.
It's almost like they had some sort of longer-term transition into that part of the series that they just threw out the window.
Right.
Abruptly.
Maybe they wouldn't be able to fly back and forth between Lude within seconds.
But overall, I'm feeling more optimistic about GT than I was last episode of this series. Bob, how are you feeling about GT?
I guess that's true. It's looking better than it was, but oh man, it's still just, oh god, stop. You know, I was joking yesterday about if before you do a Ranma versus Inuyasha podcast.
Yes.
And then I immediately realized
that would be better.
Yeah, no,
because Inuyasha,
most of those series are worlds better.
Inuyasha has a gigantic jewel that you'll never form all of until a movie or some shit. But I still feel like we're making progress when they pick up one of those tiny shards.
Right, at least it gives us something. They're actually good at doing episodic content at all.
Whereas
their
GT,
whole thing is they don't have a radar that tells them where they go. Them wandering around the countryside makes any sense.
They have an adventure.
Yes, it's all about an adventure, not whatever this is.
Not beatboxing, space worms. GT, so far we've gotten 2 Dragon Balls.
Of, hey, these guys are so powerful, they're just like unbeatable.
Yeah, which helps.
Yeah.
It really helps. GT has gotten no favors by inheriting the legacy of Z.
Right.
You know, I'm revisiting mentally that concept you brought up earlier of GT would have been a better series if it didn't involve Goku at all, if it had anyone else that didn't have unrealistic, like, power level expectations.
If this boat was filled with Pan,
Goten, and
Trunks,
yeah, it would be a bit more reasonable,
right? Actually, Goten and Trunks throw that out the window because they're Super Saiyans. We have to have Pan and like
you get
two
the
non-Super Saiyans.
You get the idea that they're soft boys nowadays.
I guess
they haven't done shit.
I guess
since Majin Buu,
right?
Yeah,
but they could just so easily go Super Saiyan back then. That's like, geez.
I mean, we still haven't seen Trunks.
We still haven't.
Saiyan.
What's up with that?
I feel like he can't anymore. He can't get it up anymore, you know?
It's freaking worse than Gohan. You know how bad that is? That's really bad.
I feel like this is when an MRA would hate this series because it's cucking our main characters out of their, like, true manly powers. Somebody needs to red pill Trunks so he can go Super Saiyan. But, I had something else I was going to bring up about GT, but I already forgot. So let's just move on to Super. Super sucks.
I can't argue that. All 3 of these episodes were so poorly drawn, it was hilarious. This first episode, episode 9 here, they kept zooming in way farther.
So far.
Way farther than they should have.
Pixelization on every element of every character's face.
And they zoom out. And it's like, yeah, we know that you're going to zoom out because you zoomed in way too far.
Yeah.
Like,
it's bad.
It's really bad.
Because it's not blurry. It's pixelated.
Yeah, no,
because I would take blurry. Blurry would look better.
I'm used to like shows were doing this in the early 2000s when they were figuring out how to use digital paint.
I mean, Excel Saga only zoomed so far that it looked this bad once, and that was as a joke.
Right, and that was a joke on things that people were doing back then. Toei, with One Piece, was doing this, and they are still doing this. How? How is that possible?
I don't know. That's my answer. I don't know. I have no idea how this is okay to them. How no one at the studio says, Todd! Fucking cut it out! No one thinks that looks good, Todd! We get that we used that shot already, Todd. But that doesn't mean you create a new shot out of it that is worse in every way by zooming in.
Just make the higher res assets.
No.
That's insane.
Just keep cutting to the same wide. It's what you're doing. Zooming in isn't tricking anyone.
Right. Yeah, it would work too. God.
Okay. So this is mostly a Cliff's Note here because not a whole lot happens. Not a whole lot of interesting. Because while GT may be super
bit of stuff happened in 9, but no,
yes.
Nothing happened after that.
Well, GT's super frustrating because all the layers of things that happen.
Right.
So we have to take down so many notes. Super is the opposite, where it's like boring because not a whole lot happens usually. But here we go. Beers is watching them dish out the fucking Dragon Balls and dumping them onto the deck. And he's like, wow, the Earth's wish orbs are really tiny.
Yep.
I enjoyed that line.
Yeah.
It was pretty funny.
It's a nice little throwback.
Yeah. He's used to the meching ones. And he's like, didn't they used to be much bigger? And then Whis is like, you'll remember correctly, sir. These Earth orbs are tiny. Their balls are tiny.
After they summoned Shenron, he should have been really disappointed that he wasn't jacked.
That would have been great. That would have been awesome. Pilaf and crew see the dragon being summoned, right?
Yeah.
They're like, what? I told you. Pilaf's like, I told you all the Dragon Balls were there. We need to go back. And then they start paddling back now.
Yep.
I'm going to go ahead and spoil that so we don't even have to bring it up later.
Sure.
They get there, and then they're like, oh, the Dragon's Ball. Or they're like, where's the Dragon Balls? Even though it's like they already saw Shenron.
Right.
Come on. And then they see some ship going off, and they're like, clearly they took the treasure away. How could they take my treasure? And then Whis is like, you want food? And they're like, yes. There. I've delivered all of the fucking exposition, if you can even call it that, for the Pilaf gang. What a shit show. They really didn't need to be involved. And then them being kids as a fucking plot hole kills me even more. But whatever. So, okay. Shenron appears, and he grovels to Birisu. And he's just like, oh, the destroyer, Lord Birisu? Oh, I'm so honored to see you here. I'm sorry that I am looking down on you. You know, it's just I'm so tall. I'm not condescending to you or anything by looking down on you. I just literally can't get low enough, so I can't do this. And it was really funny. It was a funny gag.
You're right.
Yeah, it's a really funny gag. Yeah. Shenron groveling is funny. And then they're like, okay, we'll just summon the Super Saiyan God. And then he's like, I can't summon one right now. It's kind of a thing. Which was the best line in all of Super. But then he's like, okay, well, I'm going to blow this place up. And then he's like, well, I can tell you how you can make a Super Saiyan God in your very own home. And then it's like, Planet Namek legend tells us about the Super Saiyan God. I think he's making this up.
Yeah,
so we're clear.
Why is it Namek legends about Super Saiyans?
Yep. That is a great question.
Layers.
I don't remember that being the case in the movie. Do you?
I don't remember. But I'm sure they threw out some stupid thing. But
you know, we're just gonna have to watch the movie at the end of this recreation of the movie, just to
probably
just to be like, oh god, that was better. Because I feel like I have that feeling every episode, so it'd feel vindicating to watch the movie form and be like, oh god, yeah, that was better. Because for one, it's nowhere near as long.
Right.
And for really two, helps. It is. I'm not saying it's an animation masterpiece, but holy fuck, is it better animated? You don't usually look at your main cast and go, are you really Goku? No, I'm a Char.
Finally comes out.
You know, Zeta Gundam's better than... No, I can't say that. Zeta Gundam
It's its own mess. Don't bring it into this.
It's got its own problems. There's a note here that says Gohan and Videl are drawn so wrong. But in any case, he explains the legend, right?
Yeah.
The legend is if 5 Saiyans of pure hearts touch hands and then touch another Saiyan, he will become a Super Saiyan God. And then they're like, okay. And then they don't do math correctly, and it's a funny gag. And they're like, geez, we don't even have enough Saiyans. And then Videl's like, well, I'm pregnant with a Saiyan fetus, and it's a quarter Saiyan, but maybe we can do that. And Goku's like, I don't think it'll work. And Gohan's like, there's no point in not trying, you dipshit. And then Goku's like, oh, you're right.
Yep.
They stretched that whole part of this episode out as long as they could.
Well, I mean, it was her announcing that she was pregnant, so they all had to be excited.
Oh, no, I mean just the whole, like, oh, we did the wrong math.
Oh, yes. Yeah, no, they sit there with the, trying to make it work with the 5 of them for a while.
Yeah. In any case, they start doing it after that, right? And Goku goes, maybe it's not working because you're bad people, basically. He's like, maybe Vegeta isn't so good after all. And then Vegeta's like, fuck off. And then he's like, maybe it's the fetus then. Maybe the Super Saiyan fetus is a bad guy. The Gohan's like, fuck you, Dad. Get my kid out of this.
Right.
Which is pretty funny. And then the Super Saiyan fetus starts glowing Super Saiyan color, and then it starts. So the important thing to know
has Super Saiyan
her hair starts sort of floating up, not quite like sticking up permanently like a Super Saiyan, but it starts like floating and drifting.
Right, and it gets gold.
Yeah. The important thing to know about this is Toei bought a sick ass effects package, and they wanted to use all of it this episode for the auras, and it was terrible.
Yeah, no, every aura they went through like. What, 4 or so?
It's like forever. It's the whole rest of this episode. My notes are effects package, shaky chroma, because they do a chroma version, like every color.
Yeah.
And then they shake them all really fast on every character.
Right. And that's after 2 different kind of auras they go through.
Yeah, or 3.
3 maybe.
And then the next note is, this is awful. And that's the end of the notes for episode 9. So eventually Goku goes Super Saiyan God. And he's glowing red, and he's ambiguous, and you can't really see him through it. And then the aura finally fades, and then Goku's there, but he's just drawn really different.
Right.
They're like,
they make comments about how he looks younger.
He looks younger, and I'm like, no, he looks like a different guy. Like, Goku didn't really, whatever.
Yeah, I was like, I was trying to think about when he would have looked like this. I'm like, maybe this was during the Dragon Ball, the final arc of Dragon Ball original.
No, because they showed the flashback to that at the beginning of Z, and he doesn't look anything like this.
Yeah.
Because Super can't draw characters.
Yeah, no, he's just hideous looking.
You have any notes for 9? I didn't.
No, that was it. Like,
okay, yeah. And it only gets shorter from there because they start fighting and stuff. So in any case, Goku turns into a Super Saiyan God, and then King Kai here, perceives this, and he's just like, oh, I can't believe he did it. Oh, God, what are we going to do? And then the Supreme Supreme Elder Kai, they just call him up on the psychic phone. They're like, you dipshit, this happened in your part of the galaxy, you fucking asshole. This was your fucking job. And he's just like, oh, shit. And then Bubbles and whatever the fuck the other guy's name.
I really wish it was this level.
I mean, it'd be funny. It'd also be way shorter. But in any case, he's just freaking the fuck out. Bubbles in the fucking... Gregory, thank you. It's a good name.
Yeah.
I just forgot. Bubbles and Gregory come up, and he's like, hey, what was it? Buzz off. He was like, hey, buzz off! And then the Elder Kai's like, did you just tell me to buzz off? And he's like, oh, shit! And then we end that. And it cuts back to Earth, where Birisu and Goku...
Gotta keep saying it like that? Okay.
I'm trying to be authentic.
Okay,
I'm trying to respect Zeon's preference. He identifies as someone who's very specific about pronunciation, and I need to respect that by using very specific pronunciations when I talk to him.
Okay. Is this whole podcast just directly talking to him?
Yeah, did you not get that?
Okay.
I think it's weird that he's watching this podcast 300 times a week. But hey, man, who am I to tell him to not watch our videos 300 times a week? If everyone did that, we would be insanely rich.
It's true.
Wait, no. New YouTube ad money. We would be able to buy lunch. Which is pretty cool.
We might get one of those YouTube plaques.
No.
You're right.
We already should have gotten one. That is the evidence we're never going to get one.
That's true.
Because they're not going to give us one for What Indie Hell Labyrinth X, which is bullshit. We got 1 million views. Give us our fucking plaque.
They weren't monetized views. They're different.
Oh my god. That might be a part of it, but they're like, here's your fucking plaque. We put your thumbnail on it just so you could feel gross about it. And I wouldn't. They couldn't possibly ruin the irony of that.
I would revel in it.
I'd be like,
look what we got in the print.
1 million perverts brought me this trophy. 1 million perverts strong. If you haven't seen it, go check out What Indie Hell Labyrinth X. Really just look it up on YouTube so you can see the thumbnail, so you can appreciate the insanity that would be us getting a fucking silver play button for it. Or whatever it is. So, Birisu and Goku start fighting.
Yeah. Goku's still no match. Like, he's still like punching Beers, and it doesn't do anything to him. He just stands there.
Blocks it with his hands.
Yeah, he's just...
Goku can't land a blow, and it's like, oh, jeez.
And then Bulma and everybody on this...
Well, no. See, Birisu throws a giant energy ball, and then Goku sort of like grabs it, but then deflects it, and it flies beyond the horizon, and it explodes, and then it shakes the whole earth, and there's a ton of it. And it's like, man, they shouldn't be fighting this close to the ground, but they don't say this in the series. And then they're like, let's do this for real. And then they both sort of fly upward. Mm-hmm. And now it's too far away from the ship for them to watch. So Bulma somehow succinctly convinces a shitload of other people that the insane idea of getting in a spaceship and flying after them to watch is a good idea.
Yes.
This just happened. She's like, come on, guys, let's go. And they're like, yay. And then they run into the ship.
Like everybody except Fidel and Chi-Chi.
It's like 5 people. Vegeta, Fidel, Chi-Chi... Ox King's wife?
Ox King doesn't have a wife.
Oh, then it was
the
Bulma's parents.
Yeah, but Bulma's parents also stayed.
That was it. They were just sitting on the deck. They're like, you people are fucking crazy.
they were the only sane ones. Fidel has a moment of, I don't want my kid to die.
There's a line in there about the Saiyans being low on energy. And then Piccolo's like, it's probably because of the ritual to summon the Super Saiyan God.
Yep.
Oh, well, we wouldn't be able to help anyways. And then it cuts to the fight, and then there's a large explosion at the fight, and that flings the ship so hard it starts skidding on the water, like it plummets to the earth and skids on the water, and it gets damaged. And somewhere in here, we cut to episode 11. I'm just going to read...
Hey, before episode 10 ends, they ended it with Beer saying something about being a battle of gods.
Thank you.
I was like... The name of the movie. They said it.
Thank you.
Yay.
Thank you. Oh, wow. Actually, looking at your notes, I remembered everything except for that one line that leads into 11. I'm kind of shocked because my notes for 10 were 4 lines. My notes for 3 are 3, or for 11 is 3 lines.
Hey, I also remember to write down, We's got catering. He got them.
Well, that's in 11, right?
No, that's in 10. That's in 10. That's for 10's over. Because
I thought they did the last part of the Pilaf thing in 11. Wow.
No, that was all 10.
Okay,
no Pilaf in 11.
That's cool.
Yeah. Catering, man.
Yeah.
It's good stuff.
Yeah.
You got catering, and Pilaf joined him. It was a good time.
They pulled that gag again of Pilaf has pride, so he doesn't want to accept food from other people. And then he overcame his pride and just said, yes, I would enjoy it. And they were all happy, and they were all still kids, and no one knows why.
But we had a good character moment, Dan.
No, we didn't.
He learned something.
No.
He's now a better person, I'm sure.
Double no. Triple
all right,
no.
Let's go to episode 11.
I'm going to read my notes. Okay?
Okay.
You ready? Is the show self-aware, stupid, or what? Because Piccolo and crew are flying up on them, and they're like, it's so powerful, this is intense. And then it keeps cutting to Goku, like, sticking his thumb in, like, Beer's ears and, like, pulling up his nose, and then Beer's is pulling up Goku's nose, and then they're giving each other noogies, and then it cuts to Goku yelling into Beerus's ears, and these are still frames.
Yes.
And it's, like, making an explosion sound, but then showing that.
Right. And Piccolo and Gohan are both going like, oh, this is so amazing.
Was it Gohan or Goten?
I thought it was Gohan.
Okay. Well, in any case, they're like, oh, this is incredible. They're so powerful. And then it does that, and I'm like, okay, show, I'm just sort of frustrated because I can't get what your deal is. You almost seem to think it's hilarious that you're shit.
Right?
I'm not sure. So that was 1/3 of my notes. Bob, do you probably have more notes.
I took more notes. The beer gets really upset that the Super Saiyan God wasn't as powerful as he wanted him to be.
And he's like, let me tell you. Wait, no, that comes a little bit later. You just described 17 points in this episode.
Like that was basically the whole episode.
It just keeps happening.
Yeah, so eventually he beats Goku onto this island. Then he punches him up into space, and then when he's in space, he starts. He makes these like destruction.
He makes hacky sack bombs that look like atom molecule diagrams, or atom
diagrams.
The worst
3D effect ever,
where it's like a triple Saturn ring and a ball in the middle, but it's not even 3D because it's 2D planes turned on 3 axes.
Yeah,
it's real bad.
The effect looks
so bad. And then he just keeps doing hacky sack with it, and he's like, well, I'm going to make you fight me by dropping these on the earth and blowing it up because there's only one way to motivate you. And Goku's like, you wouldn't! And then he's like, and Bob's like, he was legitimately going to do this at least 3 times by now. Why is Goku saying that? And so Beers sends that at the earth.
And Goku shoots it.
And then Beers is like, let's turn up the heat. But he doesn't say that because that's too cool.
Yeah, that's too Z era. He's not
that's
Krillin.
Too Mondo cool. No, instead he's like, okay, let's turn it up a notch. And then he makes like 300 of them. He sends it at the earth, and Goku's like, and it's huge, and he blows up all the things. And then Beerus is like, oh, and the explosion flies at him. And then that clears out. And then Beerus is like, the power level you're at, you haven't even affected me even slightly. And then Goku's like, what? And then he gets owned, and he flies into the earth hardcore and sinks to the bottom of the ocean. And Goku the whole time's like, he's so strong. He's so strong that his strength is beyond strength. I should be upset, but I'm so turned on. And then Goku gets like covered in energy, flies back up into space, and that's where we end our episode. That was this fucking that was 20 minutes of my life I just discussed.
No, that was it was bad. What a piece. It was really bad. Like, I can't even believe how bad that was.
I would take GT over that any day. Because while GT is running in circles, holy fuck, Super is running in super slow motion. And a lot of the time, also in circles. Because it's like he knocks him into space, he knocks him back down, he flies back up into space. It's like, guys, come on. Write a fight sequence a little bit better than this. Because what we didn't mention is they were fighting in the sky, and then Beers knocks Goku into the earth.
Mm-hmm.
And then Beers knocks Goku into space. And then Beers knocks Goku into the earth, and then Goku flies into space. That is 2/3 of this episode I just described. Holy shit. Yeah. Write action better.
Yeah, no.
Look, I know you're Z. I know you're following up Z. I know you have these super powerful beings. But Jesus, Z didn't once write an action sequence this poorly. Remember in the movies when they're flying through the cave and it's insane?
Mm-hmm. I assume we're getting to that eventually. Like, that cave shows up in that freaking game.
Yeah, it does.
If they don't go fight in that cave after you get this power up, then I'm just like, what? Just show me the movie footage. I don't even care anymore. I don't even want new footage. Just show me the old stuff.
Yeah, I honestly have been feeling that way for a while. These 3 episodes definitely really pushed me towards that.
I know,
because they are so bad.
This is ludicrous.
It is so fucking bad. I am so winning. I mean, GT is so winning this competition because, while it may be dumb, I would say I enjoyed the Power Brothers bit of that episode more than anything in these 3 episodes because they just took forever doing everything. It's like, which would you rather watch, right?
Uh-huh.
A sort of dumb thing that is occasionally funny in how dumb it is and bewildering in how dumb it is, or a 20-minute episode turned into a 3-hour feature-length film. And I'd rather do that first thing, because at least things will keep happening, even if it is running in circles. Because when the action is your only point,
right,
which Super has become that, full force, it's just like, I'm all about these fights. And the fights look like dog shit, and there's not a single well-drawn frame the whole episode, and then the fights are written like dog shit, too. It's just like, guys, what am I even here for? Yeah. What am I even fighting for?
I don't know. This is
so bad.
These are so bad. Most of them are so bad.
How did anyone survive watching this shit just like normally? I guess they dilute it. They watch one episode every week.
Yeah.
And then they bitch about how it's bad. And then they make their vlogs. And then they wear shorts. And then they show their leg off with the camera angle. Because apparently their audience really loves leg shots, I guess. I don't know. I haven't asked them about it. But that's how they survived. Meanwhile, we consume over an hour of this shit every week.
It was just like,
of each.
Why?
Why
are we doing any of this?
Like, oh God, what are we doing with our lives? We should just keep doing this. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know though. Like, I expected Super to get pretty bad. I didn't expect it to get this bad because episode 9 is somewhat okay.
Yeah, episode 9 was
except for half of it's dog shit because it's just shitty effects packages.
Right.
But like there's some good jokes at the beginning.
Right. Like there's any sort of characters like interacting, giving them a chance to do stuff.
Yeah.
And have fun with it.
Yeah.
And then it just dilutes into just, well, this fight scene is awful. It's not going to end.
Everyone keeps talking about the Bukake Vegeta thing and how that's going to be so bad. And I'm like, there's no way. There's no way it's worse than what's happening right now. Yeah. I can't even fathom. Right. I can't even fathom that.
Like I saw just seconds of that. I was like, Goku is using instant transmission. There seemed to be a fight scene against characters that could actually fight each other.
Yeah.
Instead of this like, oh, well, I'm just too infinitely powerful. You can't possibly touch me. Everything you're doing is doing nothing. Huh?
Yeah, well, how about this? Still Are you hurt? No? Okay, well, how about... Are you hurt now?
And they even have freaking Beers, like, get cut a little bit. And then he just wipes it off like nothing was there. It's like, God. Well, he's also Cell?
It would have been hard to animate if they had to keep animating that. Super's fucking trash. 11 episodes in, and I'm like, what a tire fire. What a dumpster fire. What a hell pit. This is bad.
This is real bad.
I don't know how Xeon brought himself to buy this shit on Blu-ray. That's beyond my comprehension. I don't think he bought it just for the review. Maybe he did.
Maybe.
I hope.
I mean, I know you refused to buy the next set.
How? I just don't know how that could possibly be worse.
Right. How did they make...
And yet we're hurtling towards that knowledge.
Right.
In a way that I don't like.
I don't know if I can even comprehend fight scenes that are worse than this.
I know, and that's what's killing me. Where it's just like, I get that you think what you're doing is really cool right now, but it's really, really not impressive, and I'm bored out of my fucking mind.
Yeah.
That's how I feel. I feel like there are a number of Sonny Chiba movies I could be watching that would be so much better than watching Super. We could be watching The Octagon, and that would be a million times better than Super. And that's how you know. That's the pecking order. GT, The Octagon, sort of neck and neck, right?
Okay.
I don't know which one's actually better. But the Super, like, looks up at them, and it's like, someday I'll be a fucking Chad like those two. I'll be a somewhat competent thing. A vaguely competent thing.
Ugh.
Are you okay?
No. These episodes were not okay. None of this was okay.
Yeah, I don't know how it can get worse from here.
Yeah. I mean, this has to end. Like, they are out of content to actually make into anything.
So do you think we hit the end of that in the next 3 episodes?
Yes. If it doesn't end in the next 3 episodes, things have gone horribly
Bob's
wrong.
Gonna quit the series.
Basically. Also, that whole Super Saiyan God thing, like, that was the same as what happened in the movie, so I'm wondering what...
I don't know what you're talking about. That was completely different.
I don't know what Hail Zeon's upset about.
Probably the Namekian legend thing. I don't remember.
Maybe they brought that up.
I mean, Super Saiyan Fetus is the new form of Super Saiyan, and I really appreciate it.
But that was also in the movie.
Well, I'm just saying how I feel about Super Saiyan Fetus.
Okay.
I'm not
so I'm worried they're going to be like, well, Goku has the power down now, and then they have the Super Saiyan got him again.
Like Super Saiyan got him again. He's Super Saiyan gotcha.
That's what I.
That's your fear. That's your deep terror.
Yeah. That's my.
So instead of looking forward to the next episode, all bad DBZ movie villain, you're afraid of the next episode. All he has to power down to become a god again.
Yeah.
I spent a good bit of this being like, so when does he go Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan?
Right? No,
I was just hoping.
Right. That doesn't happen here.
No, it doesn't. Which means it's gonna happen somewhere else.
I mean,
I don't even think we're gonna watch that far, are we?
No, we're gonna see that because that's in the Frieza thing. It just apparently happens between.
Yeah. I keep forgetting that just sort of happens in between movies.
Yep.
Because that's fucking terrible storytelling.
Yes, definitely.
And then they just show up and they're like, "We got these new forms," and then they go, poof. Yeah, like that.
Maybe I can look forward to the next few episodes and be like, hey, we're going to get past this whole God nonsense and we're going to get those just goofy fun episodes that are apparently between this and then the next movie starting.
Do you think that's going to happen?
I want to believe.
I think it might just go straight into the next movie.
I've heard there is a little bit of in between.
Oh, okay. That's good.
So yeah, there's at least some buffer of, yay, some good episodes.
Thanks for listening to this episode of GT vs. Super. I hope we all learned a lot today. If you enjoyed this, you should probably subscribe and comment below saying exactly, quote, "I enjoyed this." That's the only way we'll know if you enjoyed this. And after you do those, maybe back us on Patreon and, I don't know, spam us with comments. Be like, "I'm only backing you for your dumb Dragon Ball podcast." That helps us figure out why people like us. And it's really helpful because as it turns out, if the podcast doesn't get any views and we don't get any support, eventually we have to stop it because we only have a limited amount of time. But I'm really getting off topic. What I'm here to say is thank you. GigaBoots has been brought to you by our Immaculate God King executive producers, Vincent Poverk, Cy Wolf, Nicholas Cameron, E. Lee Broyles, Unit Number 2, Joshua Mattingly, Brendan O'Sullivan, Trouncing Trogdor, Starfalcon, and Spaceman Spiff. Thank you to all of our God King executive producers, and also these guys. Head on over to patreon.com/GigaBoots and become one of these names today.